This video is going to go over creating a database and working with CSV files. Now, when you first use Fishbowl, you'll create a new database and that database will be blank. You'll need to enter in all the data into Fishbowl so that Fishbowl can start tracking all of that information for you. There's three ways to create a database. The first way is importing your data from QuickBooks. This is done at the end of the accounting configuration wizard. For more information on that, check the QuickBooks integration video. The second is importing the data from QuickBooks into a Fishbowl database, then exporting the data into a CSV format, cleaning up the data, and then importing it back into Fishbowl. So it's pretty much just an extra step on that first way, but it helps get the data cleaned up when it gets into the database. Now the third is importing the data into Fishbowl just using the CSV files. And that's what we're going to be going over in this video. Anytime you're making a mass change in the database, like creating a new database or doing a hard count of inventory, maybe you do an end of year count or you do a quarterly count, you'll be working with CSV files. So in this video we're going to demonstrate how this is done. We're going to go over two imports in the video, the locations import, and then we'll touch briefly on probably the most used import, which is the part product and vendor pricing, or it's otherwise known as the PPVP import. So first we're going to have a brief lesson on the locations module in Fishbowl. So to access that, you go to the setup group and then we open up the location module. As you can see, I already have a lot of locations in my system here. So here, each location has a name, a description, a type that is located in this drop-down box, a location group that it belongs to, and then a tag number. So, keeping all that in mind, I'm going to go ahead and export all this data out of Fishbowl into a CSV file. So to do that, I'm going to come up to the menu bar and go to File, Export, and then I'm going to select my locations file, click Next. Now here is a list of all of the information that I need for this file. So we're going to be referring back to this, and if you're going to be working with CSV files, I strongly recommend that you just print these instructions out using this big button up here. Now I'm going to select where I'm going to put the file. I'm going to go ahead and just put mine on the desktop, and then I'm going to finish the wizard. Now that I've got that data exported into a CSV format, I can go ahead and open this file up in Excel, and it'll show me all the data that I'll be working with. So what this file has is all of the locations that are in my database right now. Now the first thing I do in Excel is I click this corner and then double click on any of these dividers when your mouse looks like this. This expands all of the columns out as far as they need to go. From here I'm then going to adjust some of my columns. That way we can see everything. So, the big thing I want to illustrate here is that in Fishbowl, we had the location's name, description, type, location group, and tag number. And in here, we have the location's name in the first column, description, type, location group, and tag number. And then we also have the customer name and the active fields. And those are also listed here in the module, where we have the active checkbox over here, and then if we have the customer name, that's stored in the database as well. So looking back at our Excel file, when I'm creating a new location, I'm going to fill all these fields in. So I'm going to make a new location called shelf, and my description is going to be basic shelf. Now in this column for type, I need to put specific information in, and the reason I know that is because of this help document. So I'm going to come back in here and pull up that help document, and I do that by going to the export or import menu, finding the one that I want, and then I can take a look at it. So this tells me that in order for Fishbowl to create a new location based off of the CSV file, I need to have the name of the location, the description of the location, the type of the location, and it needs to be one of these words typed exactly in the file. If it's not one of those words, I'll get an error on the import. The location group that it's a member of, and that I don't need to put in the tag number, the customer name, but I do need to state whether or not it's active. And we can tell just by the bold italic words that say required or optional here. So, keeping that in mind, my shelf is going to be a stock type location, and it's going to be part of the SLC location group. And then I don't need a tag number, I don't need a customer name, but I do need to put whether or not the location is active or not. Now, checkbox in a CSV format are always going to be true or false fields. True meaning that it's checked, false meaning that it's not. So I'm going to go ahead and put in true to show Fishbowl that this is an active location. Now that I've got that done, I'm going to go ahead and save and close out of my locations file. We'll just save it back to where it was. And Excel will usually give me this prompt just saying that I'm saving it in a .csv format rather than an Excel format, and that is what I want because Fishbowl cannot read Excel format files, just CSV files. So we'll click yes there, and then we'll come back into the Fishbowl client. We'll go to File, Import. I'm going to type in L to get to location. Next, select the file I'm going to import, and then finish the import. Import was successful. So now, if I'm looking for my shelf, I can see that my basic shelf has been imported into Fishbowl. So if I'm going to be making my database and I have 500 locations that I'm going to make, one of the ways I can get that information in the system is by exporting out a location CSV file, adding 500 locations to it using Excel, and then importing it back into Fishbowl. And that's how I'll create my locations. Now, we're just briefly going to go over the most commonly used import, and that's the PPVP, or Part Product and Vendor Pricing import. And this comprises information from two different modules, the Part module and the Product module. So if I open up a B201, I can see that there's a part number, a unit of measure, type, description, active checkbox, details, a picture, and that's just the first tab. I then have all the rest of this information throughout all my other tabs, including here in the vendor tab, where it lists all the vendors that I buy this part from and which one is the default. Also, I have a B201 product. And for more information on part and product and how they're different and what the differences are, go ahead and take a look at our part and product video. But here in the product module, I've got my product number, my price, my details, another picture. And so when I export this file out, File, Export, Part, Product, and Vendor Pricing, click Next, print these instructions, because in this case, there's a lot more information, and we need to know what fields are required and what fields might take some interesting information like a number. So for example, for part type, whereas on the location we just typed in the type of the location, in our case it was stock, in this import it's going to take a number, number 10 being an inventory type part. And scrolling down, it's going to let me know all of the required fields that I need in order for this to work. So let's go ahead and we'll export this out to the desktop. Now that we've got that exported out, let's go ahead and open it up in Excel. So here is a list of all of the part information that I have in Fishbowl. So again, I'm going to come over here, click that corner, double click any of these dividers. That'll make it so I can see everything. So just like with the product import, where I had a column for each field in Fishbowl, the same thing goes for this import. So I have a part number, a part description, part details, unit of measure, UPC, that part type ID, where in this case it's 10 instead of inventory, the active checkbox, and then the remaining fields that are found in the part module. Also, if I keep going, I'll find the product number, the product description, all the information that goes in the product module. And then here at the end, we have the vendor that I buy this from. If it's the default vendor, the vendor's part number, and the rest of the information that goes in there. So this is the most commonly used import because it contains the most information. I can populate the part and the product module with all of these. It's the best import for using when importing new items into Fishbowl. We'll go ahead and exit out of this. So that should give you all the information you need to start building your database in Fishbowl. In the next two videos, we're going to go over how to get help when using Fishbowl.